If I could sign one of Jade's contracts, selling my soul in exchange for her to step on me, I would probably sign that contract. Because let's be honest here, just look at her. She's gorgeous and definitely not mid-tier like Twitter tries to make you believe. What's going on, everybody? Makosi here with my first impression of Jade, the newest Quantum Erudition character in Honkai Star Rail. Now obviously this will be early access footage and it is on the creator experience server. As such, everything is still subject to change, but if you want to see some early footage in order to decide whether you are going to pull her or not, then stick around. She will release in about a week from now, if I'm not mistaken, and if you want to see a full, super detailed and scripted guide for her, then subscribe and click that notification bell. Now first of all, when I tried her out for the first time, I quickly realized that she is a pure fiction character. Her entire kit, everything she does, is for pure fiction. And I can kinda see that our camera is doing whatever it wants right now, because that zooming is somewhat questionable. Like, can you come back here? What do you mean no? I'm trying to have at least a little bit of professionalism here, so please, would you... Okay, look, let's make a contract. I will allow you to look at Jade all day long once we are done with the video. But for now, try to keep it together, okay? Alright, perfect. Yes, she is hot, I agree. But for now, let us just do that video, okay? Alright, returning to our actual topic here, like I said, she is a pure fiction character. So we will do just that. And I will also show you some of the better relics and light cones you can use on her. Teammates are also very important for Jade due to the nature of her kit, but in order to understand that, let us briefly talk about her kit first. Now the way it works is that Jade will stack up a buff called Pawned Asset. You can see it down here in the corner and it can stack all the way up to 50. Hey camera, can you maybe please zoom in on the buff down there? Would be really cool. Alright, perfect. This buff stacks all the way up to 50 like I said. And at 50 stacks you get a total of 120% crit damage bonus. Yes, that is 2.4% per stack. Oh, is there a way to quickly get those stacks? Of course there is. First, you have her technique, which will give you 15 stacks as soon as you enter combat. After that, you have her talent. The way it works is super simple. Every single time you use a follow-up attack on Jade, you get 5 stacks. Now how do you trigger those follow-up attacks, which are shown above her HP bar? Every single time she attacks an opponent, you gain 1 charge. That also works for multiple opponents, so if you attack multiple targets, you will gain multiple stacks. Oh, you have a question? Yeah, sure, just ask. Her skill, yeah. Her skill is important as well when it comes to her kit. Basically, what it does is that you can turn one of your allies into your debt collector. Yes, debt collector. Just imagine going around beating up a few people for money just for Jade to step on you. That is kinda how it works. Every single time a debt collector attacks an enemy, you gain 1 charge. Just like with Jade's own attacks, you also gain charges depending on the number of enemies you attack, right? So the more enemies you attack, the more charges you get. On top of that, the debt collector gets 30 points of speed whenever he signs a contract with Jade. That contract will be active for a total of 3 turns, so every once in a while, Jade has to sign a new contract in order to find someone to work for her. The buff itself is based on Jade's own turns, not on your ally's turn. As such, Jade does not necessarily need a lot of speed. Finally, whenever your debt collector attacks, they will do additional damage based on Jade's own attack, and they will also lose a small percentage of their own HP, because, you know, they're kind of working themselves to death, or I guess quite literally, because you can technically reduce your own HP all the way down to 1 point. Either way, that is a core gameplay loop of Jade. Attack opponents via your own attacks or by using your debt collector, gain charges, and eventually she will use her follow-up attack. That in turn will give you your crit damage stacks, and as such her damage will skyrocket the longer your battle goes. Oh, her ultimate is very simple. First of all, she steps on you. Amazing, right? Then she does some damage. Then she does some damage and finally she will increase the damage of her own follow-up attack by 80%. Although this is only active for 2 of her follow-up attacks, right? So you use your ultimate and the next 2 follow-up attacks will do more damage. And when it comes to her passive traces, they either increase your speed, your attack, or the rate at which you gain your pawned asset stacks. So not really a whole lot to think about here when it comes to the traces. They all work passively. So before we get into the highest level of pure fiction, let me quickly show you the relics and lightcoins I'm using right now or have used earlier. When it comes to relics, we are using Grand Duke for the showcase. You can also go for, brilliant stars, but for this video we are going to use Grand Duke. It is quite literally a perfect set for any type of follow-up attack character. On her chest we are going to use crit rate in order to balance everything out a bit. Keep in mind, she gains a lot of crit damage due to her kit, right? So crit rate for her chest and attack for her boots, right? We talked about that earlier. She doesn't really need speed, so we are going to use attack here. Yeah, the stats aren't really that good. Like, unfortunately, you don't really get that good items on the media server, unfortunately. So we kind of have to, go with whatever we have right now. But on the live server, everyone probably has better relics than me. So your Jade will do even more damage than the one I have right now. For her ornaments, you have a bunch of options to choose from. Duran works, Sigonia works, specifically for pure fiction, and our good old Trusted Salsotto set also works really well on Jade. For the purpose of this video, let us use our Sigonia set. And we are going to use quantum damage on our Thria and attack on our Link Rope. Yes, okay, chill, I am getting to it. Alright, so, light cones. You can use her signature light cone, obviously, right? But you can also go for the Day the Cosmos Fell. This one comes from the Memory of Chaos and you can upgrade it all the way to Superimposition level 5. So really good on Jade. If you don't have that one, you can also go for Breakfast, basically the old Memory of Chaos light cone, or you can go for Today is Another Peaceful Day, or even Genius's Response. If you have it, you can even go for Herta signature light cone, all of them work, and in the end it depends on what light cones you have. So there are a lot of options to choose from. We are going to use her signature light cone, Yet Hope is Priceless. It will give you crit rate as well as a damage boost for your follow-up attacks based on your own crit damage, and it will give you the chance, or I guess the ability, to ignore 20% of your opponent's defense rating for your follow-up attacks and ultimate attacks after you used your basic attack. So let us now move on to pure fiction, and while... Okay, yes, finally, I know. Finally, some gameplay footage. While we do pure fiction here, I will talk a little bit about team composition and why certain characters really excel in combination with Jade, and why other characters are maybe not as good as you might think them to be. So, the way Jade's kit works is that the more opponents you attack, the faster you will gather your charges, right? As such, we probably want to use characters who attack often on one side and multiple opponents on the other. I will use her in a follow-up attack team, and you can probably even use her outside of that. Blade, for example, is a really good character to use your debt collector on, right? But for this we are going to use a Himiko and Herta team in combination with Evangeline as our sustainer. Himiko and Herta attack every target on the field with their follow-up attacks, which in turn will feed into Jade's kit. And she in turn will hopefully break your opponents or bring them below 50% HP, which in turn will trigger Himiko's and Herta's kits. So it is kinda a perfect cycle here, right? And Evangeline will give us our survivability because he is quite literally broken. So really good. Yes, Topaz and Dr. Ratio. Good question actually, because a lot of people are using those two characters, right? In my opinion, you can use them, but personally I'm not going to do so. Mainly due to the fact that both of their follow-up attacks are only going to hit a single target, so building up charges for Jade does take some time. A character who is kinda right in the middle between Dr. Ratio and Topaz, as well as Himiko and Herta on the other side, is Clara. Her skill attack hits multiple targets, and her follow-up attack can hit multiple targets if you have your ultimate active. So there are a lot of options to choose from. Not to mention you can also go for non-follow-up attack characters like Blade or maybe even Jing Liu. Yeah, overall I would say that she is a character who really excels in pure fiction, and especially if you use her in combination with characters who do AoE damage. She is simple to build, right? Crit rate, crit damage, attack, and you're good to go, so our standard DPS character, I guess. And she's also really nice to look at. I personally do like her design. I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with that, but I like her. I guess I have to agree with Camera-kun when it comes to that. I hope this small showcase helped you when it comes to deciding whether you are going to pull her or not. I will release a full guide for her once she releases, but I don't want to promise anything because there's a lot of stuff going on right now, especially with Danger Zone Zero on the horizon, so we will see. Either way, let us end the video at this point. I have talked more than enough now, and Camera-kun over here, it seems we have reached the end of his patience, and I did sign a contract with him after all, so yeah. Thanks for watching, have a great day or night wherever you live, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.